Pulp Fiction knockoff. It's about people doing things in Denver.
Okay. I'm going to go with Port of Call, New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Bad Lieutenant.
And now I'm done. I have nothing else. I'm really going to get real awkward.
No, there's some big ones in here.
Okay, I'm going to do what I said I wasn't going to do and say The Craft.
Oh!
But I didn't pick it first this time.
You win.
I usually pick them first.
Oh, man.
Mark did that one time to me, and I will never let it go.
Yeah, May got real mad. All right, who you got?
I'm flipping through now to see because I don't know. We hit all the major ones I know her from, so I'm guessing like Deuces Wild. That's a movie I've heard of.
Yeah, that's with Dorff and Johnny Knoxville. Yeah, it's a street, like Brooklyn knife fighting movie.
I live in Brooklyn. Okay, I haven't seen a knife fight in days.
Look behind you.
Oh no!
I'm gonna do The Island of Dr. Moreau because I like the story.
Oh, that's a weird movie, but I love all the stories around it.
Oh yeah.
The director was fired, and he came back as an extra and was standing around on set and makeup.
I just love that it's a story that has inspired so many other stories.
Yeah.
It's an oft-referenced piece of work.
She was in a TV movie called The Worst Witch.
Nice.
She was probably 10. She was 10 or something. Let's see here. Is there any... I'm gonna...
So she made her name with Gas Food Lodging. I don't know if y'all know that.
No, I don't know what that is.
In Sky, Brooke Adams, James Brolin, Robert Knepper.
Okay. So the only other movie that I've heard of and I haven't seen is Humboldt County.
Humboldt County. All right.
Yeah. And I can look that up if we want to know what it's about, but I've definitely heard of it.
Megan took The Craft.
It's going to be a very interesting thing to vote on.
You did so good.
I don't know if I'd even vote for my team.
Why? You wouldn't?
It's an
I mean,
interesting
you have
one.
The Craft. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so one quick thing. This movie has a 55% tomato meter rating. What do y'all think about that? Kind of in the context of the 90s and then today.
Yeah, but that's no excuse because when you've done research for some of your articles, you've gone back and you've seen scores creep up or down based on current opinion of them.
Yeah.
So I think it's ridiculous that it's
This
55.
one's it's creeping up.
Well, it's still too low.
It needs to get fresh.
It's ridiculous. It should at least be in the 70s, if not
Yeah.
the 80s.
Yeah. This film reminds me of Jennifer's Body. It's like a film that is good and just got hated on when it came out.
How did you like it? You watched it recently, right?
I thought it was excellent. I really, really liked it. The only like minor complaint I would have is that sometimes Diablo Cody's dialogue is really out there. But I prefer someone who's trying to do new things than stuff I've seen before.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we did an episode about Jennifer's Body, and we enjoyed the movie. I guess the one thing with Diablo's dialogue is that it can feel dated pretty quick.
Yeah,
because
that's
it feels
true.
of the time.
Yeah.
But then as you get more into the movie, so in the beginning of the film is loaded with that. It's like Valley Girl. They purposely threw in the heavy Valley Girl speak in the beginning of the movie, and then they sort of ditched it later on, just so that to say they did some Valley Girl speak. I think the movie does kind of veer away from that Diablo-esque dialogue, and it moves more in a traditional narrative, albeit different. But
Yeah, the
it gets
premise is
less.
really fun.
Yeah. And Adam Brody, when they're singing about murdering her and then stabbing her, like, that's a brutal moment. It's mean.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
man.
great.
It's like the horror comedies of the last 10, 15 years, I think.
It's good.
It's got those funny, mean bits.
And Seyfried's good. And that kid's funny. Her boyfriend, Chip. Chet. No, that's a jerk name from Weird Science. It's Chip. So, did you want to go ahead and do our witch draft, David? Or witch draft? Oh, brother. Or do you want to say...
Which?
Oh, man. Or is there anything else you kind of want to talk about this movie?
No, I have talked about everything I think I could talk about without going to see a therapist.
Oh, I do have I do have one neat thing. Sorry to interrupt you there, and hopefully this doesn't send you to therapy. But I do like how that classic scene of them walking confidently through the cafeteria, they shot that first so that they could show it to the studio, and that gave the studio more confidence. Because Fairuza Balk didn't want to make this movie. She said it was going to be crap. Robin Tunney wasn't sure about the movie. the first couple weeks were really rough. This is a cult movie. The director wasn't on board until he was on board. So the first 2 weeks were really rough, but when they shot that scene of them walking towards the camera all confidently, so it became really popular. And Robin Tunney she said, this is the oddest thing for something that eventually became a feminist film. It was like shaking tits in Portishead and like them just walking, so Robin Tunney didn't really like the thing, but they did it to make more money and get the studio on board to make it think that it was a different type of film. So I thought that was interesting. I like that a lot.
Yeah, play to your audience.
Yeah, and then
Well, it's a sales pitch. That's how you get the money to make these things. It's often when you've got these smaller movies or independent stories and they bring in some main actor, and that's to get the funding for it. I guess it's fair that she's an artist and she doesn't want to be seen that way in a feminist movie, but at the same time, it got the movie made, and this thing is a classic. It's a big hit that people talk about, in 2020, and this came out in 1996, so I think it's fair.
Did Charmed rip it off, Megan?
Did Charmed rip it off? Charmed is very different. It's super campy. It's got, the demon of the week or the problem of the week, and they've got totally different relationship than this group of friends who obviously has very different struggles and backgrounds, whereas Charmed is sisters who, I don't know, they're sort of bound together. They already live together, and how they evolve through their witchhood. Mm-hmm. It feels very different to me. I mean, I've seen Charmed all the way through probably a couple times.
I guess they get annoyed about the theme song in the same font for the lettering, but it went its own way. Mm-hmm. More people don't need to be arguing about Charmed. There's a lot of arguments going on about Charmed right now.
Interesting.
What?
Yeah, really? But the new show.
Oh, the new one.
That they didn't involve any of the older actors, and there's just been some stuff.
If it's not Piper, Phoebe, and Prue, I don't want to talk about it.
And also, one more thing. Watching this movie, I'm a big fan of Empire Records, and when I saw Robin Tunney, I went, "That's a wig," and I went, "What year is this?" And I went 96, and I realized Empire Records was prior. So she came to this movie with about an inch of hair, and then they had to put a wig on her head every day. I don't know if you knew that, because
I didn't, but I'm glad you pointed it out because I did think her hair looked weird.
Yeah, so in Empire Records, she shaved her head. She really shaved her head.
Oh, didn't one of the costume people say they wanted to go with the pixie cut, but ultimately the director or someone wanted her to have long hair?
And she said she looked really cute. And then also with the costuming, I just want to bring up a couple things. I love the variations of the costumes, but also Rachel True was talking about how in New York everyone wore black. Like that just was the style. But then she moved to California and everyone wore the same sundress. So that's why in that movie you see that sundress that looks dated now, but at the time it was amazing.
Hey, it's popular again. The 90s are cool once more.
So everyone, the costuming I thought was really well done, and they were kind of discussing the costumes and each character, and I don't know, I dig the behind the scenes oral histories of this because I don't know, they captured a good high school look. I dug it. So that's another thing. That's just what I wanted to bring up. I'm just throwing out info out there, but I thought it was interesting because this once again proved this is a layered movie. This is not a cash grab. This is not a bad 55%. They thought about the costumes. They really thought heavily about the Wiccan aspects of it. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I think this movie, they put a lot of thought into it. I do think it's odd though that the producer keeps talking about how, so this producer and the director, they're kind of saying like, he's like, I was curious about the phenomenon of girls marginalized into a man's world who suddenly come into their sexuality and have this enormous power. That's what Douglas Wick said about this movie. So he's kind of talking about burgeoning.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. So after reading something from Pat's interview, it almost feels like he stole from that and appropriated it as his own quote. Originally, the ritual on the beach was supposed to be winter solstice, but once Pat explained that would be at Christmas time and the high school would have to be set decorated for Christmas, they didn't want to do that. She got them to change it to Beltane in the spring, which was much more of an awakening and a blossoming, and she felt that was really appropriate for women blossoming into their, young women blossoming in their sexual, growth and all of that, which felt like a much gentler way to approach that topic than whatever that guy said.
Oh yeah, I love it when those girls come into their sexuality and they get that power. That's what the guy was saying.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Would you love to hear that, Meg?
No.
Okay, so we're gonna do the witches draft.
Yes.
But I'm gonna sit this one out.
Ooh.
Oh wait, Okay, or I'm going to pitch you something, David. You might hate this. Since we normally do what? How many? We pick 5 each.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about this? We each do 3, and then we whittle it down to 4. Or do you want to do 5 each? Or because that might take a long time.
No, let's do 3 each and whittle it down to a team of 5.
Okay, I like that. All right. Do you want to do? Actually, since you probably prep for 5, David, you get to do 4, and Megan and I will do 3. Well, we prep too, but I don't want you leaving out anything.
Oh no! This was a really hard one. I'll be frank. This is super hard. I looked at probably 5 or 6 lists, and they're all the same, like 7. But I have a very controversial one that I want to start talking about right away, so you can either take her or leave her because it's going to change everything.
Okay, I'm excited. Let's do it.
Can I go first?
No, David just said he wanted to go first.
Well, you're just gonna hate it, so I'm gonna do this first. I'm doing it. Is this okay?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Elaine from The Love Witch.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I didn't make it through that movie.
Yeah, thank you, David. I didn't want to make it through
So back in 2017, I was writing about the best year ever for horror for Rotten Tomatoes, and I had to watch all the horror movies from 2016, and The Love Witch came up. And I mean, it's cheeky, it's fun, it's 95%, but Megan hated it, so I just wanted to bring it up because Megan always goes back to that movie. She's not a fan, but I'm gonna do Elaine from The Love Witch.
What I can say is I think it looks good.
Oh, the aesthetic that they capture.
Style.
Yeah.
All right, so my number 1, this is gonna be an argument. Mary Poppins, and is Mary Poppins a witch?
I like it. I mean, she's got to be. She's got magic, right? What else would she be?
And if you hear us spinning right now, it's our kitten playing with a ball tower in our room. No, I mean, let's do it. Mary Poppins. I mean, she floats out of nowhere.
I thought this would be a bigger argument because, but I was prepared to say, she gives people elixirs, she makes stuff happen, she flies.
She puts children through bathtub portals into underwater worlds.
Yeah, if she's not a witch, I'd be shocked.
Well, yeah, I mean, if at the very least, she's maybe a mage or a magician, she has to be something.
I love it. So we have Mary Poppins and Elaine from the Love Witch.
All right, so I'm going to go with Lamia from Stardust.
Ooh.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
That's good. Yeah.
Oh, I totally went.
What about her sisters?
I wanted to only pick one. I didn't want to pick the group, so I picked her because she's the most recognizable one.
She's so good in that movie.
She's really good. I just actually read the book recently, and it's very different from what we get in the movie. The decisions they make for the movie totally make sense, but I like her.
I mean, she nails that role.
Oh, yeah. And it's somewhat of an unselfish role because she goes from ugly to pretty back to ugly.
And it's become a cult classic.
I love Stardust.
I love it. All right, David, who you got?
I'm going to go with Finn Rizal.
Oh, I was gonna do that.
Oh, I knew you were gonna do that, but I can't say no.
No, you can't say no. That's perfect. Yeah, that witch fight at the end, beautiful.
Some of the best witch fighting I've ever seen.
I mean, if you want to talk brutal witch fighting, that's a mean fight. That's a tough fight. What?
Witch, please.
Witch, please. I mean, the witch slapping that goes on in there. This is bad. Sorry. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm being reductive to people who have that, so my apologies if you're doing that, but no, I love that. I think her presence is great. I don't know, and that evil witch is so bad. I don't know, I love it. Yeah.
Well, it allows me to do my favorite line from the movie, Willow, you idiot.
Oh, I love it. All right, I'm gonna have another one that's gonna be taken out easily, but since you're such a big Mila fan, I'm gonna pick Nimue from Hellboy.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Doesn't she play a witch a couple times? Isn't she? Who's in the last Witch Hunter?
That's Rose Byrne. No, not Rose Byrne. Rose McGowan and Elijah Wood. Hey, Rose Byrne would have been. No, Elijah. Wait, has Rose Byrne played a witch?
That's a good question.
Wait, Rose McGowan is from Scream.
It's the Rose redhead Leslie.
from
Game of Thrones.
There it is, Rose Leslie.
Yeah. Oh no, the bad witch who's the tree.
Oh,
wow.
Oh yeah, the plague tree.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that in my front yard.
Mm-mm.
All right. So we have Elaine from The Love Witch, Mary Poppins, Lamia, Nimue, Finn Rizal. So who's up next?
Me.
Okay.
Kiki from Kiki's Delivery Service.
Hey.
Nice.
Does the cat come with?
Gigi?
Yeah.
Always.
So you get
until Gigi or until Kiki matures to a point where Gigi can't talk to her anymore, which is always very sad.